Larry, just start kind of the development of the summer, how valuable that's been for your program, and maybe a kind of the thought process of what you're trying to get ready for your coaches.
Well, I think for us, with almost 12 new players getting used to me and my style, just trying to build chemistry. I know one thing when people always ask me, what's the difference, what's the difference, what's the difference? Those 4 extra weeks that you get in the summer make a huge difference. So we were pretty much done my plan till, September 15th. We were done by July 20th, so just having those extra weeks really gave us more time to build, and like I said, develop that chemistry. We know that SEC has some of the best pros, some of the strongest players in the country, and we just wanted to spend this summer, because we're not the biggest group overall, building strength going into the championship.
Based on your personnel, do you have a sense of what your team's swings and style might be?
A little bit, a little bit. I've always kind of prided myself on, as a coach, is being able to adapt your system to the team that you had, and not necessarily being able to tell my assistant coach, hey, I like this specific type of forward that can do A, B, C, and D. Just give me the best player available and we'll figure it out. And I felt like, obviously we put together a team in 30 days, but in that 30 days, we felt like we got some players that are going to be some cornerstones, and for this upcoming year and years to come. And we felt like we were able to do that.
You mentioned some players that are going to be those cornerstones. Who are some of those players that you believe are going to be those cornerstones, and what do they bring to the table?
Well, I'm not sure we actually have a quote-unquote star. I don't know who our star is going to be. I don't know going into every game who is going to shift the defense. That's the easiest way to build your offense. If you can figure out who's going to shift the defense, you can figure out where to kind of go from there. But I do think we, for like SEC Media Day, Heidi Lay, Jamia Harris, Caitlin Duhan, those will be some of the players with me for that. Ariel Jackson had a really good summer. Just her ability to get through gaps and get paint touches that can also shift the defense. She had a really good summer. Maya Petticord can really shoot that basketball. She's one of the better shooters that I've coached in my last 10 years. So I'm excited about trying to figure out ways to get her open. And, if she can do her job, it'll make everybody else's job easier.
Sharia Daniels got one of the awards. Could you just talk about her as much as a person, as a player?
Well, Soraya, I would use the word she's consistent. Just as a person every day, for the most part, same energy, always upbeat, ready to work. She had a tremendous summer in the gym, so I'm hoping that you'll be able to see the fruits of all that labor. But she's just so consistent, and everybody gets along with her. And when you can have people like that in your locker room, that talks about that cultural piece that we were talking about before. She understands the Auburn brand. She understands what being a member of this Auburn family looks like. And we can always look to her for a lot of those different things. If I need to know a chant, a Lord chant or something like that, I know I can always go to Soraya, right? She's been doing them all her life. But, she's had, she's had an interesting 5 years, but just to see the way she endures them, it keeps putting one foot in front of the other.
Oh, y'all handle revenue sharing in the new landscape, post-house settlement. What effect do you think it's had on women's basketball as a whole?
Well, no matter what basketball program it is in the country, the word support, you just want to be supported as a program. And, as I kind of, if I told you the number I spent on my last year's team, you'd be like, how did you win any games, right? But for us, it's just trying to show a product that that the Auburn family is proud of, that they want to come and support it by season tickets, but also, support in the rev share NIL space.
with the schedule in front of you, know what this league's like, and non-conference, a couple of real tough ones there too. What are you looking for out of your team now, between now and then, in terms of, I know one thing, you mentioned chemistry, that's shown up pretty early, but what's now the message as you get ready to start actually playing games?
Well, we know you always want to win, just like a football game, right? You want to win at the line of scrimmage, right? We want to win in the paint, right? Regardless if that's rebounding points in the paint, limiting their points in the paint, right? That paint, that blue is going to be the most important thing for us as we kind of lead into the year. You know, we start off the road at Charlotte. They're going to be a way better basketball team. And then we have some home games coming up after that before we kind of get into a 2-week span that's going to be super tough with Rutgers and Cal and UTSA and Oregon. But that 2-week stretch is really going to prepare us for those first 2 months, you know, in SEC's play. It's a 4-week stretch in there that I'm like, boy, all my hair is going to be gray. But that's why I wanted to take this job and you know, but that 2-week span is going to prepare